We're against certain things, though. Fascism, the National Front, Queen. It's basically English politics. That's where it started. New York groups aren't very political at all. They really have nothing to say as far as politics go. But it's a musical statement as well. It's a new kind of music.
How about a fashion statement? How about...
I'm going to go on to another caller, but before we do, Cynthia, it's nice having you here.
Really?
What kind of group is the B-Girls?
They're girls.
Really?
All girl. I don't know what you call it. Kind of like the girl groups in the early 60s, kind of like the Shangri-Las.
Where can I be seen?
Well, we just played CBGB's in Hurrah. Probably be back in New York in around a month or so.
Don't mess up the curve.
Let's go back to the phones.
But why?
Because there's more people.
Because
it's
people
more
listen to the Grateful Dead over here, that's why.
It's more of a standardized music scene over here, and it needs to be broken down, just like it was in England.
We're going to have to go on to some more calls.
In 67 was the hippie scene.
Well,
68, the hippies were dead. 69 was Woodstock. 70, everybody was hippies. So compare it 10 years later.
What's happening, everyone? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. What is going on? What's happening, Gary? What's happening in London, John? Yes, Ray Hogan, it's Wednesday. How great is that clip? What's better than Sid Vicious shitting on the Grateful Dead? That's it's great. And I love the Grateful Dead. So, what's up? What's happening in Scotland, man? What is going on? Good to see everyone. I missed you. Feels like it's been a long time since we've done a show. I'm excited about today's show, and I hope you are too. Lots going on, lots to talk about. What's up, Lori Dawn? San Diego. What's happening in San Diego? I haven't been to San Diego in a minute. You know? That's right. Cape Cod. All right. Speaking of Cape Cod, what's going on?
Hello.
What do you have to do with Cape? What do you have to do with Cape Cod?
Nothing. I'm in Queens, sitting here in Queens.
Sitting here in Queens, eating refried beans. You know what? Did you send this thing to me about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Was that you?
Oh, yes, I did.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is officially announced this year's inductees: Rage Against the Machine, Willie Nelson, Missy Elliott, Kate Bush, George Michael, Sheryl Crow, The Spinners. Okay. In addition, Chaka Khan, Al Cooper, and Bernie Taupin will be honored. DJ Kool Herc and Link Ray. Well, come on now. There you go. Now we're talking. All right. Listen, I know everybody got their panties all bunched up about this, but what's the problem? Missy Elliott? Is that it?
Well, I think in my opinion, I mean, as you know, Missy Elliott got in and Iron Maiden got snubbed. So for me, how rock and roll is Missy Elliott? That's my big question.
Bro, how rock and roll was Run DMC and LL Cool J and Nas and
I know.
Jay-Z, they're all in there. And you know what Mark Levine said? You know Mark Levine sent me today? He said, how could Missy Elliott's getting in, but the Jay Giles band isn't in? Like, there's all kinds of like the Jay Giles band, who sold millions of records, who were a true rock and roll band. You know,
I mean, I think the term rock and roll is what's really being kind of used awfully loosely here. You know, I mean, will Aerosmith be inducted into the Hip Hop Hall of Fame? Will Anthrax be inducted into a Hip Hop Hall of Fame for, some big crossover songs?
You know what? If it was up to me, I'd be like, all right, here we go. Black Flag, Bad Brains, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and Missy Elliott.
You know what's interesting? When Metallica was inducted years ago, James Hetfield pulled a whole list out of his pocket and read a whole list of bands that should have been in before them.
You know what? I'm gonna flip the script. You ready? Yo, fuck Iron Maiden. Yo, Missy Elliott should be in the Hall of Fame. And you know what? So should whatever that other crapola is. I don't know, man. What do I know?
At the end of the day,
Paulie says, I saw Missy Elliott open for Slayer at Lemoore.
The pit was insane.
Good one. Yeah. Listen, Jerry
That's
Garcia
funny.
didn't show up when the Grateful Dead because he was probably on the pipe. He was probably,
Oh, that's funny.
That's it, man. You know what? Sheryl Crow got in.
Yeah, Kate Bush got in. That was kind of interesting.
So I'm not mad at Sheryl Crow, and I'm not mad at George Michael should be in there too.
Sure, absolutely.
Rage Against the Machine, if you think Rage Against the Machine, if you think that singer for Rage Against the Machine is going to show up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I got a bridge to sell you, across town. Yes, Agnostic Front should be in. Yeah, absolutely. You know who passed away?
I think I do.
Who?
The Bachman from Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Right.
And Gordon Lightfoot passed away.
You better take care.
Sundown, you better take. Gordon Lightfoot passed away.
That's huge. That's like 8-track 70s right there.
I have to ask our guest about Gordon Lightfoot because she's from the Toronto area, and I wonder if Gordon Lightfoot got a pass. You know what I mean? Because like Bob Dylan got a pass, like punk and hardcore kids, we gave Bob Dylan a pass. I wonder if up in Canada, Gordon Lightfoot got a pass, or else it was like, yo, fuck that guy.
He was like the Canadian John Denver,
Oh, what's this? This just in. Hey, Drew, it's Joel. Hey, Joel Ghostin. John Albert, who drummed in Bad Religion in the mid-'80s and was the guitarist in Christian Death, died today of a heart attack.
There's number 3.
On the show. There's number 3.
Wow.
Tony Palmisano says, I worked Gordon Lightfoot 30 times. Unbelievable.
We got to get Tony on to show his big collection. I was telling you.
Sundown, you better take care. Sundown.
You're dancing with the devil with that one,
Sundown. Yeah, man.
So have we finally dried off from the weekend?
Yeah, it was brutal. Let's do of the day because that photo of the day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Of course, let's just jump into it. I think what we're doing here is we're kind of celebrating as we do after we have a Bowery Electric show.
Yes.
So
absolutely. And should we just go into this, or are we letting people?
Yeah, go ahead.
This actually is
a great show, even in the rain. Go ahead.
That's right. Yeah. Well, you know what? It did it. I mean, it poured like nobody's business, but we still had a nice turnout. This is our friends in Chumhuffer, and I believe this was a record release party for them. As a matter of fact, a great new 7-song record.
The Huffer of Chum, good one.
They were really good. When I listen to them, I hear like a little Dead Kennedys in his delivery. Like they got really good. I just like their whole feel, like their songs and everything. They're a lot of fun. In fact, our friend drummer Mike, I believe, played with them for a short minute.
Yeah. As
a matter of fact, but really, really good. And of course, they were followed by Cripple Dern.
Hold on, I got a Cripple Dern.
Oh, there we go.
Chumhuffer was good. I've known Sean Refuse for a long time now. You know, he used to be in the band Refuse Resist. Here is the always super hard
Oh
friggin'
yeah.
they're hard. Triple Dern's hard, yo. Hard.
Yeah, they just I love Tyler's voice. He has that like 20-pack cigarettes voice that he has, you know.
Hard.
And
Tyler's hard. Hard.
And then followed by who was after Down Low. Oh,
well, here's a great shot. Hold on. This is one of Michelle's shots, and this was a really nice moment when Down Low played. This is Matt Melnick's daughter, all 12 years old of her, singing with Down Low. It was great moment. Yep. Yeah, Maddie.
Yeah, they're fun. They're
Madeline. Yes, Maddie. I told him, yo, you got to get Maddie's got to get a band together now.
That's it. The next generation.
Was she nervous, Matt? Matt Melnick, was Maddie nervous about getting on stage and grabbing the mic?
She didn't seem nervous.
No.
You know, and
that's like honestly, man, those are the best moments for me when I do these shows. Oh, she didn't expect it. Is that right?
Really?
You just threw her up there?
She didn't bat an eye. She nailed it.
Dad just threw her to the wolves, you know? Get up there. And this band was headlining.
Well, you forgot one.
No.
Before then
I'm getting there, Skipper.
Oh, all right. You're going backwards there. All right.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, this is Go, who played their first New York show in 12 years. Yep.
Yeah, they that was like, you know, and it's funny. I just picked up my my Bullshit Monthly anthology yesterday from Generation, which he was in town for as well, and of course Crazy Eddie, who they just kill it. Like, they're so good. You know, they're so much fun. And oh my God, I just, oh, look at this. There's the Fab Four right there.
Yeah, I got a Crazy Eddie shot that Michelle took. It's a great shot. And you know what? It features, look at you in the mix, bro.
Oh, that's right. Well, you know what that is? That's Our Prices Are Insane. Prices are insane. I love that one.
There's Wendy about to get punched in the back of the head.
And not taking any shit either. So
listen, man, Wendy Guillotine. Listen, all you young bucks out there, if you're gonna run around and flail about and you hit Wendy from Guillotine in the back of the head, you better get ready to receive the wrath, her wrath.
4 feet of fury.
Yeah, Wendy Guillotine ain't no joke, yo.
Yeah, these guys.
And there's Logan. There's Logan.
Yeah, it was good to see Logan there, actually. You know, and
you know what's great. You know what's great about one of the things that's great about the Bowery Electric is you see the people lined up on the wall there. It's like there's an area that if you don't want to be in the fray and get possibly
punched in the back of the head,
you said it, then it's cool, and it allows young people, female, women, Chris from Iconicide to stand right on top of the band. It's a great view. It's a great view
if you're filming or shooting. You know, I used to love that about the A7 as well. There was that spot, you know what I'm talking about? Right against the wall, up on the thing. And that's a great spot to shoot. Chris films every single show, and that's his spot. Like, he's always in that spot.
I've learned to appreciate Chris from Iconicide.
He doesn't miss a show, and he does not move. He watches every single band.
He's all right, man.
You know, he really is.
He's all right in my world, yo.
Yeah, no, he's a good. We got great people, man. I'm telling you, we have it never fails. Like our community of bands and it was a blast. I mean, and it was supposed to be a big weekend. Obviously,
Well, get ready for the next one, bro.
yeah. Now look at this lineup. This is a great lineup. It's a heavy lineup too.
Listen, I want to say this. I want to say this about Rampage Fest 5 with Reaching Out and Cropsy and Extinguish the Code, right? If you don't want to get punched in the back of the head, chances are you should not come to this show.
That's right. Yeah, this is a heavy. Extinguish the Code. This is going to be a heavy show.
There's going to be a lot of get punches in the back of the head.
Yeah, this is. You know what? Wear a helmet for this one. Wear a helmet for this one. Actually, you know what? One of my favorite parts of the show the other day. Did you see the girl dressed as a shark during Chum Huffer's set?
That's Sean Refuse's wife.
Oh, she was great. She was great. I mean, where do you get a shark suit? It was great.
Yo, that's like, yo, dude's woman is trooping hard for him. She's like dressed. My girl ain't dressing in a shark suit when I play. My girl's like, yeah, my girl ain't dressing in a shark suit. She ain't, so yeah. That's commitment right there.
That's it. You hear that, Rochelle? You can do it.
Hey, baby, listen, I want you to dress what would be appropriate for us, like for the kind of band we are, like
that's
the
true
banana,
for City.
No, the banana suit, the banana.
Oh,
hey,
that's
baby,
right.
Hey, baby, I want you to wear the banana, like be a banana when we play. She'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
No Redeeming has the guy, the chicken.
Oh, the chicken dude. Yeah.
We'll have to do an all mascot episode.
Joe Frank said, I'm lucky if my girl even comes out to my shows. Word. Right. I'm sick of your shows. You fucking stupid hardcore friends. Yep. Dress as a razor knife. All right. All right. Good. All right. Let's get it on, man.
Let's do it.
All right. I'll talk to you in a bit.
You got it.
All right. See ya. Listen, remember.
Sundown, you better take care. Sundown.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah, man. That said, welcome. Got a good feeling about today's show. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, Upstate Records, and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. Goddamn electric. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. The client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and of course, your friends of mine, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Come on now, DTFM Vinyl Distro. Looking for extreme music? DTFM Vinyl has got you. Located on 13th Ave in the jewel of North Dakota, Fargo, we have the state's best selection of punk, hardcore, metal, ska, oi, and more. Can't make it in? Shop online from anywhere in the country at www.dtfmvinyldistro.com. DTFM Vinyl, where the policy still is and always will be death to false metal. Let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Here we go. Everybody okay in the chat room? Nobody killing each other? Yep. All right, good. Everybody behave today. Here we go. Today's guest is a musician hailing from Toronto, Canada. She's known as a pioneer in the early punk rock movement, having played bass in the all-girl band The B-Girls. Please welcome, coming at us from Toronto, Canada, Cynthia Ross. Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, Drew. How you doing?
I'm good. So, Gordon Lightfoot, did he get past?
Yeah, he's a Canadian icon. He's an amazing singer and songwriter. And
Okay.
I know, yeah, you guys, but yeah, Gordon Lightfoot.
No, what I'm saying is like even in our world, like Bob Dylan got a pass, like
Right.
certain people got a
Yes.
pass,
Yes.
certain people didn't. But I would think Gordon Lightfoot would have gotten a pass.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And my world is a little bit before your world, so yeah.
To me, I love Gordon Lightfoot. To me, Bob Dylan, Gordon Lightfoot, Warren Zevon, these
Right.
were big. These are big
Okay.
in my world. They're huge.
Right. I love Warren Zevon. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. So okay, let's jump into it. Is that Toronto I see looming in the background?
It is. It's the skyline of downtown Toronto, coming to you from Dundas and Parliament Street. If anybody knows Toronto.
How is Toronto these days?
I'm kind of back and forth between New York and Toronto, and I mean, I don't know. It's like every city. Certain things have changed for the worse, and yeah, it's a big city.
For a long time, I don't know if it's still the case, but for a long time, if you wanted to shoot New York and you wanted that New York look, you would go to Toronto to shoot because New York doesn't look like New York anymore.
That's true. They still do that. Yeah, they still do that.
Yeah. So all right, let's jump into it. How did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
Yeah, definitely not in a musical household, except I did play piano as a child.
Okay.
Hated it after a while. Made my parents get the piano, and then I wanted to quit, but because they got that for me, and we didn't have a lot of money, I was forced to continue, and now I'm grateful that I did because it gave me the basis of. Later on, when I started playing bass, I visualized the piano keyboard, the sharps and the flats, the white notes. Yeah. So it helped me.
Yeah, that's one of the regrets I have is that I just couldn't wrap my head around piano lessons. It was too much for me in that youthful state, and I surely regret that because it would have been a valuable skill to have. Moving forward, as a musician, what was the first music that spoke to you that were kind of was on your radar screen?
So I was thinking about that, and I really listened to a wide variety of things. I kind of made a little bit of a list while you guys were talking in the preamble.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously. The early Rolling Stones on the Ed Sullivan Show, when I saw that, I think I was 9, and that was like the first thing that made me go, okay, what is this? That excitement in your body and all of that. But and then I started saving my allowance to buy 45s every week. And a lot of the influence in Canada, I think it was the same though in the States, was the English scene of the Small Faces, T-Rex. But I really listened to a lot of girl group stuff, the Shangri-Las, the Ronettes, the Crystals. I listened to R&B. I listened to blues, Howlin' Wolf, Buddy Guy. I saw them all when I was a kid. I used to sneak into bars when I was 14.
Wow.
We were close to Detroit, so we had the whole Alice Cooper, Iggy, MC5 connection. They used to come to Toronto to shop for their clothes.
Did Motown resonate up there?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I listened to Marvin Gaye and Curtis Mayfield. I loved the Velvet Underground, David Bowie, Lou Reed. So a really Leonard Cohen. I mean, so it's a really broad spectrum.
And Toronto, of course, back then was a destination for musicians. It was a major stop. So I assume, growing up as a young teenager, you had the opportunity. That was a stop on everybody's tour, right?
For sure. I mean, there was the Festival Express with Canned Heat and trying to remember, Janis Joplin and the
Grateful Dead, Janis Joplin, the band.
Yeah. So also Yorkville, which was like Greenwich Village up here.
Sure.
when I was 14, we used to hitchhike down there after school, and it was a mecca for draft dodgers. You know, the Vietnam War was happening then. Because I was.
If I may say, if I remember correctly, the Minor Birds, Neil Young, and Rick James.
Rick James was living up here. Yeah. And there were lots of other places. There were coffee houses, you know, the Penny Farthing. You had the Le Coq d'Or on Yonge Street, which was like, I think I saw Sam and Dave there. The Colonial is where I saw Howlin' Wolf and Buddy Guy and
I would love to see that.
Eric Anderson. I mean, so good
stuff.
I feel like I was born right in the right time to be influenced by all of these different things.
Absolutely. I mean, and we talk about it a lot on the show too, is also radio. FM radio was so vibrant back then. It was really starting to bubble up, and you know, the radio, there was so much going on the radio back then. You could turn the radio on and there was so much, you know.
Well, I remember listening to the AM radio on the transistor radio in my bed when I was supposed to be asleep. Yeah.
Right.
So
under the covers with the little transistor radio.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When did I don't want to say heavy and hard music, but when did did you get really inspired? I know the early Rolling Stones was absolutely inspiring to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But is that what triggered and kind of set you into motion to, hey, let's start a band?
Well, I think when the so-called punk scene, which is of course a variety of different things lumped under one moniker, when that started in Toronto, first of all, we had a couple of clubs, the Colonial Tavern, we had The Edge, and we had these two very famous guys, the Garys, Cormier and Top, who were bringing all the good bands up from everywhere, from England, from New York, you know, and they brought the Ramones in '75 to the New Yorker Theater. And they also had a movie theater where they ran films, you know, so everything was all mixed together at that time: film, poetry, literature, music, you know, it was like one big scene. We all supported each other. So I think the Garys are pretty responsible for starting things. And then you had the whole art school scene of the other part of punk, which were in Toronto. It was like the Diodes and the Dishes and Johnny and the G-Rays. And then you had like the punk bands, which were the Vile Tones, the Ugly, the Demics, Teenage Head, who were more like a pop band. But they were from.
Sounds like it was an incredibly vibrant scene up there.
It was. It really was. And I guess standing around and watching these guys play, I just kept having the reoccurring thought, you know, why am I standing here watching these guys that really can't play? I could do this.
That's right.
And that was the seed for when I started thinking about it.
Well, part of the ethos, of course, was it's for everyone. There's no, you know, get up, get out, and make it happen. And it was inspiring to a lot of people. I mean, the Ramones. I don't know of any band that inspired more people to form bands than the Ramones.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved them. They were like, the B-Girls got called female Ramones a lot in the early days.
I could see that in so much as the Ramones to me always seemed like in a certain regard, almost like I would compare them to the Shangri-Las and a lot of girl groups. Just, and I don't want to call them like a pop surf group, but the Ramones were very hooky and you know, kind of very poppy in their own way. You know,
they were to me. I mean, you don't have to call them that, but I've often called them. To me, the Ramones were like the Beach Boys.
Yeah,
you know, and nothing wrong with that. And you know, and then the following year, the Garys brought the Dead Boys opening for the Ramones at that same New Yorker theater in '76.
I wonder how those guys came up from New York to Toronto. Did they fly or did they drive?
No,
They
everybody
drove.
drove.
Everybody drove.
None of us flew.
Nope.
No, those days,
Yeah.
no.
No, they all got in a van and drove.
Yes.
They all got in a van and
All
drove.
you needed was a driver's license at that time to go between the two countries. So there's a whole different thing we could talk about what's happening now, with borders and nationalism and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So the Ramones with the Dead, is that early on? Is that when you meet Steve Vicious right off the bat when he showed up in Toronto?
So I knew the Ramones already, and
Okay.
I'd already been going to New York. Like in 1972, I was 18, and I met Johnny Thunders on that trip. I went with my 16-year-old girlfriend. It was our first kind of trip on our own, and we went to Nobody's.
Oh my!
Someone told us, yeah.
16 in New York City, and we met Johnny Thunders. Oh
yeah.
my!
We were walking down the street, and these two people stopped us and said, "You need to go to this place called Nobody's in the West Village because the way you're dressed, you got to go there." And we didn't know that people didn't go out until midnight. We went there at 9, and the only person in there was Johnny Thunders and Jimmy Iovine.
Wow.
So yeah, that's when I met John.
And he was a friend of yours. I'm looking for my photo, my shot of you and him. But here you go. I know this shot is a little bit later, but here's a shot at the B Girls with Johnny Thunders, right?
Yeah, that's at Max's. It was a gig that we had, I think. Yeah, and I think it's a Bob Gruen shot.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we stayed friends forever until he passed away. Like talked through girlfriends, through boyfriends, through husbands, through wives. Yeah.
He looks pretty good here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read, I did doing my homework for the show, and we're just going to go where the conversation leads us. But that you kind of described him. He was like an Italian guy from like the 5 boroughs. Like, could you give us any kind of perspective on what kind of a person he was?
I found him to be very shy and sweet. Like before he got heavily.
Yeah.
Like when I met him was 72, the Dolls had just broken up, and Billy Murcia had just died in a bathtub, drowned in a bathtub in England, and they were auditioning drummers. And that night, the same night I talked about earlier, he came up to me and he was so shy. "Hi, I'm John. I just want, I know this sounds really corny. I just want to know what a girl who looks like you would think about this guy. We just auditioned him. He's a great drummer. We want to know if the way he looks would attract you." So we went to the door of the club, and this guy in the red suit with this blue shirt comes walking down the street, and it was Jerry Nolan. And I looked at Johnny and I said, "Yeah." And he said, I didn't want you to like him that much. I was like, yeah. He was very old fashioned, like Stiv, very old fashioned,
Right.
Nothing, Johnny. Yeah. I mean, he was a little boy really in a lot of ways. And he loved girl groups. He loved.
Yes, he did.
all
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It must have been very sad to sort of see his slow and imminent demise. I mean, he was such a talented guy. He was so incredible. And just to sort of see that must have been very painful for a friend.
Yeah, it was. And I saw him just, maybe 6 months before he passed away. He came up here and played Toronto, and he told me he was clean. And then because I was clean, I had just gotten clean. And he said, "Come to the show. I just want to make sure. I want to see you." And I didn't think about it. "I want to see you one last time and make sure you're okay." And then I went to the show, and someone brought drugs and he did them. So I said, "I have to go, I have to leave."
Yeah.
And, we spoke a few times, but then he just gave up. He just gave up at the end. But I think he would love to know the impact his music has had
Absolutely.
on so many people, because that's all he cared about. He just wanted to make the kids dance. That was his thing.
And it's looking back now, he passed away. He was so young.
Yeah.
You know, at the time you say, oh, Johnny Thunders, he's been around forever. But now in retrospect, we look back, you know, guys like him, or even Dee Dee Ramone, Joe Strummer, they
Right.
died 51 years old. You know,
Or in the 40s. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, my husband was also a drummer from New York, from Queens, and Billy Rogers. And he played on the Ramones' Subterranean Jungle. He played with Johnny in the Heartbreakers after Jerry left. And
Oh, right on.
yeah, he played on Dee Dee's record, Hop Around. So yeah, all of these guys, it is tragic, you know, but I kind of look at it now. It's just lately I'm not stuck in the past, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm here, they're not. I'm in the present. I'm still doing stuff. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, not you know, not to dust it off, but I'm clean and sober, you know, almost 15 years now,
Right.
and you know, I'm very thankful for that. You know, a friend of ours sent me this photo this morning of you and Stiv. Michael Alago sent me this.
Oh, Michael, yes, this is at the Tropicana.
Yeah. Great shot.
Yeah, we're both wearing Iggy t-shirts. I'm wearing a Search and Destroy 40, like the record cover, and Stiv is wearing Iggy. And yeah, I mean, we were staying at, that was the trip I went out on my own before the B-Girls went out. Yes, and Michael was there.
So did you met Steve? You met Stiv and started dating him before the B-Girls even formed, or did
we'd already decided to start a band? We'd had like maybe 1 or 2 rehearsals.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I met him walking up Yonge Street. Like I said, they were opening for the Ramones. I didn't know him, but I looked at this scrawny little guy in this striped shirt, and the B-Girls wore all striped shirts, all of us, you know, like the Ramones did at one point in time.
Sure.
And like the Beach Boys, for that matter. And so I saw him, and he looked at me and he said, "Hi, I'm up here from New York. Do you want to go for dinner?" And I was like, and something made me say yes. He was really something. I don't know.
I like that. He was fearless.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, I like that. That's, you got to be fearless, you know?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah,
so
you
we
do.
had dinner, and then he said, "You know what? I got to go because I have to get to sound check. I'm playing this show at the New Yorker Theater." And I said, "You are?" And he said, "Yeah, do you need to be on the list?" And I said, "No, I'm already on the list." You know? Yeah. And that was, then we started seeing each other right away after that.
You know, one of the joys when I directed the Ilago film was,
oh, that was great. I didn't even know you did that. I love that film.
Yes, I directed it.
And I love Michael. Yes.
Oh, thanks. Well, there you go. Yes, I directed it. One of the joys of doing that film was doing my homework and getting acclimated with the Dead Boys. Sure, I knew who the Dead Boys were before that. I grew up in New York City, peripherally, you know, Sonic Reducer. But Ilago ran their fan club as a teenager, and he loved them. Loved them.
And they loved him too. So.
Yeah. So I did a really deep dive, and we interviewed Cheetah Chrome and all Ilago's photos. And I tell you, I really gleaned a deep appreciation for that band. And for me, I gotta say, I really feel in a certain way, they were like the one real punk band of all those fucking bands. You know, this one, that one, and I'm not sliding Blondie or the Talking Heads or anything else like that. But the Dead Boys, they were punks. They were, yeah.
Yeah, if you were in a dark alley, that would be the band that you would want to be with you. They were real. They fought. I mean, not that I'm saying fighting is good, but you know, they were tough, but also their music was tough, and they were great musicians. So, you know, Johnny and Cheetah. One of the B-Girls was married to Johnny at one point, Johnny Blitz.
Huh.
Another one of the B-Girls was married to Robert Gordon at one point.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Now is this shot of speaking of Robert Gordon, is this And Robert Gordon's winning right here with this. What year was this? When was this?
It would
Was
have
this
probably been like 1980, I would say,
okay?
or 81.
Okay, a little bit later on. Okay.
Yeah, we opened for Robert Gordon and Chris Benning a lot in Toronto at the Lone Star, in Jersey. Yeah, we had a certain group of bands. Well, we opened for so many people, but we were kind of like, if you thought of all the New York bands that were around at the time, like we were lumped in with, I guess, like the Senders, Sylvain, the Heartbreakers, Mink DeVille, Robert Gordon, and Chris Benning, the Cramps, Blondie. We weren't like the other bands we opened for from England were like the Jam, Sham 69.
Wow.
Oh, the Clash. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Clash.
How did the band come together? Is it true it came together at a Thin Lizzy? Like how did it come together?
Well, there were these two other girls that I would see at every show, and we would go to a lot of shows, and like the New York Dolls at the Victory Burlesque, and these two girls, they stood out in the way they dressed. One had black hair, one had platinum hair, one would wear all white, one would wear all black. And they dressed like 1920s or 1930s glamour girls, long gowns, gloves, rhinestones, hats. And I got to know them. And my sister and I used to go to a lot of shows together. And we all went to see Thin Lizzy. And then after the Thin Lizzy show, we were in Phil Lynnett's hotel room.
Oh, my.
And Lou Cast and I went into the bathroom to fix our makeup. And we hadn't really spoken a lot. It was kind of like, when you see the girl and you go, right. we checked each other out.
Sure.
And I said to her, we started talking, and I said, I have to ask you this. Have you ever thought of starting a band? And she said, only every minute. And I said, do you play anything? And she said, no, but I can sing. And she had an amazing voice and still does. She sang jingles. And I said, oh, yeah, but do you play any instruments? No. And I said, well, if you're going to be the singer, you have to play guitar. So she said, okay, but if I'm going to be in the band, my best friend Xenia has to be in the band. I said, great. Does she play? No, she plays nothing. And I said, well, okay. She said, well, I said, but I'm the bass player. I know I'm the bass player. And she said, oh, do you play bass? And I said, no. And then I said, I guess if Xenia's going to be in the band, my sister Rhonda has to be in the band, and she'll be the drummer. And that's how we started.
But wait, did Sister Rhonda play drums?
Yes. No. None of us played anything.
Okay.
I mean, I played piano, Lucasta sang. And we could all
Rhonda got handed a tough gig. Like, you're playing drums. I'd be like, oh.
Well, a lot of the local bands helped us. Everyone was rooting for us. So they loaned us their equipment. They came to my parents' basement. They loaned us their amps, their guitars, and they taught us how to play These Boots Are Made for Walking. That was the first song we ever played.
Is this the proper lineup here, or is this a little later?
No, so this is the lineup that was later. Okay. So both Lucasta and Rhonda probably left within the first year.
Okay, so Rhonda's not in this shot.
No, Marcy is the drummer in that shot.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So that was the band that did most of the, that did the Clash gigs and moved to New York and slept on floors and.
Got it. We'll get to that for sure. And that's the band that went to the Tropicana and all that.
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
And that shot is from when we were at the Tropicana at Stiv's bungalow.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that. So the band starts up. You start locally. These Boots Are Made for Walking. And is that right? Was the first show at Club David's, the famed gay Toronto bar? Is that right?
Yes. I think it was with the Viletones, the very first one. And we only knew 3 songs, so we played them twice. And yeah.
What was there any was there any sort of roadmap? Was there a template? Were there any other all-girl bands that like hard punk bands like in
Yeah, so in Toronto there was another all-girl band called The Curse.
Okay.
And we go back and forth with debating who started first, but they were definitely around at the very same time.
Sure.
And they were great. Yeah. They were a great band. Yeah. They were punk.
Yeah.
You know, they were more towards like the hardcore type of sound.
Sure. Our friend and supporter John Buskey says, "What an amazing way to start a band." Like Drew said, you got to be fearless.
Yes.
And we say that a lot. It's just like, youth. You know, it's a shame. It's a shame it's wasted on the young. You know, it's like when you're young, you're fearless.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And we knew we could do it. We knew we could be good. I mean, within 3 months of picking up our instruments, we recorded our first single for Bomb.
Oh wow! I didn't realize. And was that with did the original band?
Yes.
Record so Fun at the Beach was the original band.
Yes, and B-side, the other side. Yeah.
Here you go. Boom.
Yeah, that's it. And that's not the cover is funny because the cover is really the front lawn of the apartment building that Xenia and I lived in as roommates, and we were jumping on the rocks in front of the apartment building, and Rodney Bowes, who did the photo in this cover and is a great photographer, him and I cut ourselves out, like cut us out. We used Letraset. We glued it on in front of a picture of Lake Ontario of all things. So yeah.
Is there a beach at Lake Ontario?
But I mean it's a freshwater lake. You know, it's like
yeah. And here is the actual label. How did
that's a different one than I've seen. That's a different one. Okay, that must have been. Yeah.
How did Bomb come into play?
Well, you know, there was a vibrant scene going up here, and like the Diodes especially were integral in starting this club called the Crash and Burn in an alleyway. But we all helped run it. Like we sold beer. It was a political office during the week, and it was a warehouse. And then or the political office might have been upstairs. I don't know, but that's the original label.
Yeah. I got it.
So we would have shows, I think, only on Friday and Saturday nights, and we sold tickets and we sold beer for $1, and we all helped out, and we did our own flyers. And in those days, you were still pasting flyers up on the poles. Dead Boys played there because I brought them there from the Ramones show, and it was like there was an art group called General Idea that were kind of like the Factory, Andy Warhol, and they had their own magazine called File Magazine, and a guy named A.A. Bronson was involved in that, and he's well known. So it was like we were all involved in this one little scene, and then the B-Girls, I think, were the first ones to start going down to New York regularly, and then we decided to just move there. We were playing there more than we were playing in Toronto.
Sure. And is it right that you guys sort of started a monthly residency at CBGB?
Yeah. So what happened was there was a snowstorm. I think it might have been 77.
Wait, wow. You mean it used to snow in New York City?
Yeah.
It doesn't anymore. It doesn't anymore.
I know. I live there now.
Well, I remember the blizzard of 70. Like I said, I grew up in New York. I remember.
Yeah. So we had a gig with a bunch of Toronto bands, like I think maybe the Diodes and the Violtones and a few others. And it was for Max's Kansas City, and it got canceled because of the blizzard.
Sure.
And so I was already going out with Stiv, and I said to him, now what are we going to do? So he said, do you want me to talk to Hilly? And I said, no, you should not talk to him. I don't want any of that happening. I'll go and talk to him. We used to call him Uncle Hill. We had names for everybody, So the four of us went in, and my sister Rhonda and Lucasta were still in the band at that time. And I said to him, he goes, how can I help you? With foot up on the desk. And I said, Uncle Hill, we need a gig. Our gig got canceled, and we're not leaving till we get one. And he goes, you mean leaving New York? I said, no, we're not leaving your office.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, I like you, girl. You got balls. And yeah, there's Uncle Hill.
Mm.
And he gave us, usually you had to do audition night on the Monday night. And he gave us a Friday night. And
Wow.
yeah. And then, all the Ramones came, the Dead Boys came, Syl and Johnny came, all of these friends of ours, and the Erasers. That was like another great band that was happening at the time.
Well, wasn't Haley a great supporter of the Dead Boys?
Yes. Well, he was their manager, I think,
Right.
So by then, I think he was their manager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, and then he just started giving us, we would get like 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Then we opened for the Dead Boys and the Ramones at CBGB's at one point. And that was the show that the Clash saw us play.
And let me segue. Where's I have a nice Clash thing here somewhere. I have a nice little Clash thing, which is you guys opening up for the Clash in Toronto.
Right. We did that first. Like the CBGB show happened, and then they hadn't played North America yet. And then we played, they were mixing an album in New York, and they said to Stiv they wanted to speak to the band's manager, and he was not too happy about it. I was the band's manager. And he said, oh, I think they're just trying to pick you up. And I said, no, I don't think so. They know I'm with you. And then I went and talked to them. It was Mick and Joe. And they said, we want you girls to open for us on our next European tour. And it was before computers and cell phones and all that. So I gave them my home address, still in Toronto at that point in time, and my phone number. And then we got a telegram. Yeah, that's after the Toronto show.
You got a telegram.
A telegram from Bernard Rhodes saying against my best judgment. Yeah, against my best judgment. The boys are determined to have you girls open, make sure they get passports, and we'll confirm the dates and we'll get tickets. And what happened was Topper fell off the drum riser before any of this happened, and he broke his wrist. So the tour got canceled in Europe, and then he said they're going to make it up to you by the North American tour on the Northeast. So we were already going to do we played twice with them in Toronto, O'Keefe Centre and Danforth Music Hall. And then we played with the Undertones at O'Keefe Centre, and the kids ripped the seats out, and that was the last rock and roll show there for like forever. And then we did the Palladium in New York, the Capitol Theater in Jersey, the Orpheum in Boston. We played Detroit. I can't remember the name of the place.
Here I have this. This is awesome. This is really great. There you go. Look at that.
Oh yeah, that was sold out. Yeah, can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, Lee Dorsey.
Wow.
And Mikey Dredd. So Jesse Malin always tells me that he was 11.
Oh, this is the show.
Yeah. 11 or
backstage,
11.
At the backstage door and that whole bit?
Well, that's where he saw me, that his father took him to the show. Wow. And that he saw me either there or at the Capitol Theater in Jersey.
Wow.
No, but the backstage was insane at this show. Everybody was there. Debbie Harry, Johnny and Wayne Kramer came in from Michigan because they had gang war at the time. And Joe wanted me to throw Johnny out of the dressing room because he was worried that he was going to steal stuff,
Shit.
Well, yeah, it happened. But I said, no, I can't throw him out. He's like my best friend. And so I said, if you want him out, you got to throw him out. And of course he got security to do it. So I was like,
let me ask you, were the Clash, were they great? Were they great back then?
They were fantastic. They were exactly what they portrayed is what they were. And they stood behind everything. So the whole thing about us being on the bill, we didn't have a record deal. We didn't have tour support. Wow. They didn't care. Every band that they had on shows with them were bands that they loved.
Sure.
And Joe Strummer was amazing. I mean, Mick Jones ended up producing a couple of demos for us later on. in New York after the tours. But yeah,
Is that
Joe,
what this is? That what this is? Come on.
is it? So yes. So that's
Yeah.
another iteration of the B-Girls. So
Okay.
I think throughout the years, if you include the Born Again B-Girls from 2017, when we reunited with two young New York girls,
Mm-hmm.
I've been the one constant member throughout. So this is Xenia, Mick Jones, me, Renee, who became our guitar player. She was fantastic. Renee Shilhab passed away a few years ago. And Teddy Brunetti, who became our drummer. Marcy left and she joined Certain General.
Oh yeah, sure.
Band. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we're all still friends, and yeah. Marcy's an amazing artist. Yeah.
Yeah, The Clash is a band that was a huge influence. I love that band, and I have to say, the Topper Heeden era, they were incredible. They were really.
I didn't know any other era of the Clash.
Yeah, there was, they
Yeah,
went
I
out.
stopped.
Yeah,
I stopped
they
going to
soldiered on.
shows,
Yeah,
because I had
right.
kids and all of that stuff. So
I
yeah,
I like this shot. Apparently, it's from a club called the Left Bank in Mount Vernon, New York.
oh yeah, that
It's
was
a
our
great shot.
dressing room.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, great shot.
Yeah, we played all those, the Left Bank. I think we played Lemoore. We did like a bunch of crazy gigs all over the place. We played in Rochester, a place called Scorgies. We played in Philly at the Hot Club like a bunch of times.
Here's a question we could address it a little bit. Chucky asks, why didn't you guys travel outside of the country?
Well, we meant to with that Clash tour, but that never happened. And only recently, the Born Again B-Girls of 2018 with me, Lucasta, the original singer, who's amazing, and then Elisa Maldonado and Lila Vander from the Trash Bags from New York. We did a Japan tour, and that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be this.
So
as we
yeah,
as we go where the conversation leads us, that would be this, correct?
yes.
Yeah.
We did like a week and a half in like Osaka, Tokyo, Hamamatsu. Yeah, it was fantastic.
Was it? I'm assuming it was really enjoyable.
Oh.
After all those years, to be able to go over there and be appreciated.
Right, and they knew every word to every song, and I'd gotten Bomp, Susie Shaw, and Patrick agreed to put all the B-Girls demos out on Bomp, even though they were a back catalog mail order thing. I said, no, it has to have the Bomp label on it. The B-Girls have to be on Bomp. So they did it.
Was that Bad Not Evil?
Yes.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, so we have stuff produced by Liam Sternberg, Craig Leon, Mick Jones from The Clash, Debbie
Harry, right.
Yeah, Chris Spedding did the mastering thing. The few that I produced, yeah. So again, that's the band that did the majority of the B-Girls gigs.
That must have been really great to go over there. Some just desserts and be appreciated.
Well, it was wonderful to do it with Lucasta because the two of us started the band, and it was like full circle. And yeah.
Here's a shot that I didn't see when we were talking about Johnny Thunders. It was kind of buried, but here's a great shot. Our friend Bob Gruen's in it, and
that's the one that's at Max's. The other one isn't at Max's. Yeah, yeah, upstairs at Max's, and you can see like Von Elmo.
Yeah, the infamous Von Elmo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bob, so many people say, well, how could Bob have taken that photo? He's in it. Well, they use timers on cameras. Like that's what he did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we loved Gruen.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Is this the original? Well, I think this is it, right? Is this like the photo you told us about that sort of the record was taken from?
Yes, that's it.
There you
That's
go.
that's the real photo, the Rodney Bowes. I mean, it's not the jumping one, but it's the same. Yeah. I don't know if that's, yeah, I think it's a little different stance. I think the one on Fun at the Beach, we're jumping.
Right. That's, meanwhile, we're on the front lawn in Toronto.
about a half a mile from where I am right now. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
it. Yeah. Oh, you know, and we'll get into this later, but Arthur says, I could listen to these stories over and over. Cynthia, write a book.
Yeah, I'm writing one. So
Yeah,
I started, I stopped, life took over. And thanks, Arthur. How you doing? Yeah, I started it, and it's funny. I thought I was procrastinating, and what I realized just the other day is I was actually preparing, because I look back at what I wrote.
Absolutely.
And I have a very different vantage point now about some of these stories.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I have the same thing cooking. It's like you just, every time I go back, it sort of inspires me a little more and gets me going on it a bit more. I mean, I assume you're typing it out and not dictating it.
I'm writing it physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm starting to dictate stuff, which
I haven't done that, but yeah, I spoke to someone the other day who gave me a lot of really good concrete information, and now I feel like I have a work plan, because I can now see it. I can see it being done, and you know how it is when you can work backwards from seeing it and seeing how you feel at the end.
Absolutely, and yeah, this is another shot at the Tropicana.
Yeah, that's Stiv's bungalow. Yeah, that's a Teresa Kariaka's shot. And everyone says, am I looking at a cell phone? No, I'm looking at a makeup compact. Yeah.
Stiv had a bungalow, huh?
Yeah, we were across from Tom Waits.
Ooh.
I mean, his whole band was staying with him there when they recorded the Disconnected album.
Oh,
you know,
right.
Message and David Steinberg and George Cabanis. But then when they left, the B-Girls moved in, and we did our gig at the Whiskey from that bungalow.
That was, I have a great shot from 1980. Where is that?
Oh, with Debbie and
well, no, I have that one, but I have you guys. I gotta find it. Wait, it's so good. It's got the whiskey in the background.
We got arrested on the way to walking to soundcheck.
Arrested?
Walking while blonde, I call it.
Ugh.
So we didn't know that you had to have your ID on you, and we didn't know that, like, all these things. They thought we were underage. We had no ID. They took us to the police station. Stiv had to bring our ID. What are you doing? And also, what are you doing walking? This is LA, you know? Yeah, that's the dressing room.
Of the Whiskey?
The Whiskey. Yeah.
I see Rodney, and is that Nigel Harrison?
It is. And if you had the whole photo, like, I can't see because I'm on a phone, but Jeffrey Lee Pierce was there, and Kid Congo, because, you know, they were involved with the Blondie fan club, and everyone was there. It was pretty amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's Sable next to Debbie. Yeah.
Yep. Great shot. And I have another one. Tell us about sort of the connection, B-Girls connection, also your personal connection with Debbie Harry.
Okay, well, this shot is at the El Macombo when we were just before we moved to New York. We were still living in Toronto, and we opened for Debbie there. We opened for her at Ontario Place as well. But we're singing backups in this photo to the Shangri-Las out in the street. And they had come over to my Xenia and my apartment the night before, the whole band, and we rehearsed it, you know, Clem banging on phone books, you know, and yeah, so we did that. And we opened for Blondie, you know, a few other places, but I became pretty close with Debbie, and I really, really respect her. She was like an older sister in a way. She was, I think she's 8 years older than me. And I really looked up to her, and she was intelligent. She was talented. She had a good business head. She gave me some really good concrete advice, which I probably paid attention. You know, I listened to it too much in a way, because I became overly cautious. about signing with anybody.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I was worried, and she was right about it. You know, she said they're going to take away your creative control. They're going to send you to choreography. They're going to tell you this one can't play on the record. That one has to lose weight, get a session musician, you know. So I was naive because I really did think that everybody played on their own records, and I insisted on it. And then I found out much later that none of that was true.
Yeah.
So we turned down, like, I think it was Polygram from England. Yeah. And, you know, we turned down the Copelands, and then they signed the Go-Go's after us.
Well, that was IRS records,
IRS,
right?
yes,
Yeah, sure.
yes.
Yeah. Ian Copeland.
Right. But yeah, I still love Debbie and still in touch with her, and I can't believe how great it is that she's, you know, that she's going, and she looks amazing.
Yeah, and she still sounds great too.
She does.
She really sounds great. Is it true that you guys did the B-Girls like have a set of rules? No politics, no short skirts or shorts on stage, and no cleavage. Was this? Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So Lucasta reminds me now. She said, "You may have thought you had those rules, and I never listened to any of them. You just didn't know." But yeah, and she hated the fact, like, you know, I had this vision of that we all had to wear the same thing, and she was like, "I'm not wearing a sweater on stage when I have to sing. It's too hot," you know. But we did keep that, and we followed the template of the Shangri-Las, you know, and the Ronettes and the Supremes. And my whole thing was that I never wanted anyone to be able to say that we got a gig because we were girls or because we were dating somebody in the band that we opened for. So Stiv was the only exception because I was already going out with him before that happened. But yeah, the rules were you couldn't bring a guy home from another band from the gig. Yeah. So yeah, it was like Johnny used to call me the Madonna on the pedestal, and like Lucasta say, "Who do you think you are, Mother Teresa?" You know, like that kind of thing. You know, but yeah, we never wore short skirts. We never wore anything like that.
And I was thinking that maybe that was the reason that, you know, maybe no big, you know, sort of record contracts came your way. But you're telling me that in fact there were some record contracts, but you guys just weren't having it.
No, we weren't having it. And I managed the band, and then they told me, you know, you need to get a proper manager, and we ended up getting Debbie's road manager. We interviewed all these managers, and they all wanted us to do all those things that she said. Sure. So we said no to all of them. And then I found out that I could get more money and book more gigs than this guy could. So we ended up buying ourselves out of the contract.
I see.
But no, it wasn't like that at all. In fact, I think, you know, there's something to be said about mystique, and guys always want what they can't get. So.
Absolutely. This is the LA shot I was looking for.
Right.
I love the shot. In the background, Quiet Riot is playing the whiskey.
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I'm wearing the Catholic schoolgirl outfit and, like, you know, leotards, like, you know, like full tights on my legs. It's like.
Oh, and Stiv's wearing the full leather jacket. It's like, oof. Did Sid Vicious have really bad vision?
He was blind. He was certifiably blind, and that's why I say he was a different person on stage. He used to take those sunglasses were like Coke bottles, and he would put them on the amp as he would get on stage, and really it took away any inhibition that he had because he couldn't see anyone in the audience. So
that's how you do it. You just you take your glasses off so you can't see anything, and you just go for it.
And he was banging into everything and rolling around.
Yeah. He is.
So this is me wearing his disconnected jacket. That's also in LA. You know, I mean, Good Girls Like Bad Boys. That was one of the B-Girls songs.
It makes sense. I'm looking for I have a great shot of where's my Stiv shot with him wearing the B-Girls shirt. Oh, here it is. I got it. This is a great shot.
Yeah. So
yeah. Here you go. He's representing right here. There you go.
So I made that shirt because we had this stencil, and we would hand paint the diodes. Actually, John Caddo made the stencil, and he gave us our name. And yeah, that was my pink and white striped T-shirt, and Stiv wearing it. And this photo is by Anya Varda, a friend of mine who lives in LA. Yeah.
And I have that, and Chris Contos, drummer extraordinaire, says blind stage presence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, what you don't see can't hurt you, man. You know.
I mean, he was the most hilarious person I ever met in my life. That's what attracted me to him.
Yeah. You know what? A sense of humor.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps. You know, I have that in my notes. Who is John Caddo?
He was the guitar player for the Diodes. We're a Canadian band. They were on Capitol, I believe. Yes, Capitol Records. They had a hit with this song called "Tired of Waking Up Tired." Yeah,
I love it.
And yeah, so John came up with the name. I wanted something that was reminiscent of like 1950s girls something, but
yeah. And Paulie asks, how did the name come about? So there you go.
Yeah, so B Girls, and it just was a great name because it could be like B Girls, you know, just B Girls, or it could be the real name of B Girls with the thing were girls that hustled drinks in bars, usually with guys in the military,
American servicemen, right?
Yeah, during the war in the you know, like forever back there. And they would get the guy to buy them champagne, what they thought was champagne, and they had to deal with the bartender. They would get served ginger ale, and the girl and the bartender would split the money at the end of the night. So it was a hustle.
Wow.
And that's
I never knew such things existed.
So that's what B Girls were and still are. I mean, it still happens.
That's great. You know what? Let me take a sponsor break now for a couple minutes. Let me get my sponsor on, and then we'll come on and we'll bring on the women of the pit, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, great.
We'll see you in a couple. Well, there you go. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to continue with the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live.
Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in a new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. I am your host, Drew Stone. I want to mention How could I not? Please support the show. There's a Patreon page. Who did I just see turn up on Patreon? Oh, D Kavazov. Thank you, D. D just came back on board. Kind of confused what you're doing, D. You're on, you're off, you're on, you're off. But yo, I'm shouting out D and everybody else that supports the show on Patreon. Thank you all so much. I am a very grateful and fortunate individual that people love the show and people support the show. So thank you all so much. That said, what else? We mentioned Rampage Fest. We mentioned Rampage Fest 5 coming up on May 21st. Yes. Saturday, May 27th in Tompkins Square Park. Leeway, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, Winterwolf, and Scott Helland. If it's free, it's for me in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. Listen, it's going down. Biohazard Matinee, Biohazard, Sworn Enemy, Sheer Terror, Fury of 5, Sub-Zero, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. There are still tickets available. You know why there's tickets? You want to know why there's tickets still available for this show? Because friggin' Irving Plaza has got tickets upstairs that sell for like $200 or some shit. So that's why it's a tough sellout. They probably have 10 tickets left, 10, VIP tickets or whatever that they, listen, don't even get me started. Sunday, June 25th, we have changed this bill up a bit. This is my birthday bash, and I hope you could come through. The High and the Mighty, One Life All In with Don Foos, Revenge Beast with Mark Rizzo, Concrete Ties, and India Vid. We'll be playing this now. Morning Noise is not playing because Morning Noise is opening for the Misfits at the Prudential Center, and they cannot play within a 200-mile radius. So they are off the bill. Sunday, July 30th, Dog Eat Dog, Kings Never Die, Dead Crew, Incendiary Device. It's going to jump off tonight. Serial Poets and Dead Crew. Hey, D, there you are. Thanks, buddy. And then Sunday, August 13th, at the Bowery Electric, free all-ages Sunday matinee with The Take, Silence Equals Death, Star Car, featuring Sab Gray from Iron Cross, Ma'afa, and Mr. Pickle's first show in 10 years. That said, let's clear the deck. Hey, Danny. What's happening in Arizona, Danny? Yes, the New York Hardcore Comic Commercial, WWF style. Yeah, we love those guys. They're great. Let's bring on Lori Dawn from Wooman of the Pit. Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing it.
I know, it's been a great show so far. I love it.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah, you worked very hard on that, so you had to.
Sundown.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Now that shit's going to be in everyone's head all night.
Exactly. We're all going to be singing that.
No, I'm going to be like, listen, you guys, I got a great idea for the next show. Let's do Sundown by Gordon Lightfoot.
Just all 2 hours of the show. Just
Sundown. Sundown, you better. They'd be like, yeah, this is coming from the guy that's like, let's do Billy Idol. We tried that. We tried that once. That didn't fly. Yeah,
that'd be great.
Is that right? You're rocking the Gallows shirt?
Yes, I am.
All right.
Good catch. Hey,
let's
Eddie.
bring today's guest, Cynthia Ross, back on. Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Lori.
It's been a great show so far. Oh my gosh, I'm enjoying this so much.
So Lori, tell us about what's going on here. Boom. What's happening here?
So what is going on here is a band called 18 Fevers out of Seoul, Korea. And they came on my radar through the webzine Unite Asia. I've mentioned them before, a great resource for finding out about bands over there. And their music is a great mix of like rock and punk and post-punk and dance punk. They remind me a little bit of the Distillers, actually. She's got a great voice. And they're relatively new. The punk scene in Korea is actually, about 20 years behind our scene. So in the 80s, up until the 80s, a lot of the music and media and stuff like that was heavily restricted. So they didn't have access to that. But once that was lifted in the 90s, there was like an explosion of all different musical styles coming out. And yeah, so that punk scene
Did
really
you say Korea's 20 years behind?
Well, musically speaking,
Right.
let's just say, right? But I have to say, when I was a teenager, 15 years old, I had pen pals from all over the world, and I had a pen pal in Korea. She was always asking for tapes, and I didn't realize until researching this band just how much that meant. Like that was how they found music. They're American pen pals, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Now hey, is that your son? Is Dylan your son? Cynthia,
What?
is
Yes. Okay. Hi, Mom. Yes. I'm like, I didn't know who you were talking to. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's in Paris. He just moved to Paris for work.
Oh, is
Hi,
that
Dylan.
right? Hey, Dylan.
Yeah. He works for a lighting company.
Is that right?
Big lighting company. So cool.
Fantastic.
How's Paris treating you, bro? That's some
He's
good
been there
times.
like 3 weeks.
That's some good. Yeah, Paris is a very cosmopolitan city. It could. I've had good times in Paris and tragic times in Paris. It's
okay. He's just outside of Paris, near Orly Airport somewhere.
Okay,
not too far.
He says it's going well, Mom. So okay, good. All right.
Love you, Dill.
We're rooting for you, Dylan. Don't make the mistakes I made in Paris, bro. You sent me some music, right?
Yes, I sent a little video clip.
This is what's going on in Korea?
Yes, it is.
Oh my.
Some good stuff. I love her voice. Love it.
I'm going to skip down a little bit.
Yeah, it's good.
It's great.
It's good. Yeah, some good stuff.
I wonder if they can get outside of Korea to play, or they're like.
Well, they are going to be playing in the UK this July with another great Korean punk band with some ladies in it called the Rum Kicks. So, and I'm going to put both of them up on the Women of the Pit page today so people can check both bands out, 18 Fevers and Rum Kicks. They're touring the UK in July, and they're going to be at Rebellion Festival.
Oh, that's a great day. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
Dina.
Hi, surprise! I was able to pop in real quick.
Oh,
Hi, everybody. How's it going? You were doing
Dina?
so good, Lori.
Oh, thank you. I'm like flying solo without you. So,
yeah, I'm here.
you were
I'm always with you in
down.
spirit.
What else? You wanted me to mention something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this Saturday.
Hold on. You make some small talk so I can send it to myself so I can post it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yes, I was just talking about this really great scene in Korea, and like I said, I'm gonna mention it, plug it again. Unite Asia is a great web zine for everything going on in Asia, music wise. Everything.
That's what's his name? Unite Asia. That's Riz. Riz
Love it.
runs that. He's been
Exactly.
He was on the show. He was on the show back in the day. Good dude.
He does a really good job of keeping everybody informed of what's going on over there. It's a great resource. Yo, Eddie, I see you. What's up?
One of my favorites. So yeah, one of my go-to. I always check out, see what's going on, when I want to hear some new music.
Okay, I have it. You are tell us about this. Boom.
So this Saturday, there's going to be like a highlight of hardcore and metal bands featuring women, and up in Wilmington, Massachusetts. And you could see the lineup right there: Spit, Fish Face, Concrete Ties, our friends in Concrete Ties, Set the Bar Low, Gomp, RSI, Slamwich, and All Shall Suffer. They invited us up. Lori and I are going there, and we are emceeing the event, whatever that means. I don't even know, but that's what we're doing.
just do what I do. Just get up there and be like, "What's up?"
Right.
Please welcome our friends.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
I love that name, Slamwich.
Slamwich. Yeah, I like Spit. I like Spit.
All Shall Suffer sounds hard.
They're actually, I think they're from New York. Yeah, I think they're all from New York. I know some of them are.
We're
Concrete Ties is from up there.
All Shall Suffer.
I love that. Set the bar low. What should we call the band? What should we call the band? Set the Bar Low.
That's definitely a feminist band right there.
I checked them all out. I'm loving them. They're hard. It's gonna be fun.
That's a good one.
So
thanks. Laura, do you have anything for Cynthia?
So, I mean, just that, I love your music, and I'm hoping to see you live.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of transitioning into doing some new stuff. Like life just makes a new situation. So I've been writing a lot of poetry and spoken word, and I'm reunited with an old friend up here who has a studio in his garage behind his house. And so far, we've got 7 or 8 songs or pieces down. The first thing we did was a song for the Marianne Faithfull tribute album that Tanya Pearson from Women of Rock Oral History Project is organizing to raise money for Marianne, and it's going to have Garbage, Adele Birdie, Bush Tetras, a whole bunch of really great people doing Marianne Faithfull songs. And I'm not a singer, so I was terrified to do this. And it's like, if it's only fair, do it anyway. That's
absolutely. Absolutely.
So it came out really good.
And, fantastic.
Yeah, and I've been going forward since that. So next time I play, I may not be playing bass. I may be using my voice.
That's great. And I always thought of like the bass is sort of like in the background, and now you're coming to the front,
I was always happy to be the person behind the person,
Sure.
orchestrating everything.
Sure. Hey, the bass keeps it all together, the bass keeps it all together, right? So
I still love bass. I mean, there's nothing like bass, but yeah, I'm stepping out of the shadows, and I'm starting to use my voice, at my age, so
that's awesome. I love it.
Feel good about it, and writing the book and stuff. But yeah, I'll be back in New York, and actually that Tanya Pearson was in Massachusetts somewhere. She was teaching at a college there.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, check out Women of Rock Oral History Project. She's done these video interviews of all these amazing people. Lydia Lunch. Oh, Lydia's on the record too, the Marianne Faithfull record. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'd love to. And I'm definitely going to check out that other book that you mentioned too.
Oh yeah, Hit Girls.
Yeah.
Sounds amazing.
So, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to all these exciting things from you. So
lovely meeting you.
Yes, you too.
Yeah.
See you soon.
The band was great.
Bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
There you have it. As we continue in our journey, I love this photo. Can you give this is like, of all the photos, this is a great one. It's a Bob Gruen photo. It looks like is this dinner at Sylvain from the New York Dolls house? Like what's going on here?
It's dinner at Chef David Johansen's house on 17th Street. Probably again does it give a date? I don't know. I think it was around 1980. It was when we were sleeping on Syl's floor, I think, of his apartment, but it's Sylvain on the phone there, Bobby Blaine, David, Chef Johansen. He used to make us dinner. We were starving. And I saw him last week, him and Mara, and we were joking about it. And he said, I said, I thought he made swordfish. And he said, no, are you sure it wasn't red snapper? Because that's the only thing I know how to make. So, yeah, I mean,
it's a great shot. I love like the four B girls are like shoveling the food. Yeah, chowing down.
Yeah.
Great.
And Marcy reminds me, I don't know, I can't see her feet, but she says that David drank wine out of her red stiletto that night. I'm like, okay. But you can see this is us in our just like real day-to-day thing. We're wearing just, we always wore pants, t-shirts, like no sleazy stuff.
Yeah. At first when I saw this, I thought maybe that was Arturo Vega in the middle, but
Bobby Blaine, I think he was the keyboard player in the David Johansen band at some point in time. I believe that's who it is.
Let me see what other really great photos I have. This one was interesting. You, Stiv, and in Joan Jett's bed with Joan Jett, is that right?
Yeah. It's Joan's bungalow in LA when the B-Girls, the time that I went out on my own with Stiv to LA to get gigs and to meet with press and all that stuff. And Joan and Stiv were great friends. And Teresa Kariakis again took this photo. Dear friend of all of ours. And yeah, there were more in this series of like Stiv, he's ironing Joan's hair on an ironing board. And yeah, there were a few others. There's like me and Joan looking like these two innocent little teenagers looking at pictures on her wall. I mean, I remember she had the Sex Pistols on her wall, and then she had some Playboy centerfold, But yeah, she got up and played with the B-Girls at Hurrah.
Oh, wow.
And the B-Girls opened for the Runaways at CBGB's also. So
I remember Hurrah.
Yeah.
I saw Suicide at Hurrah. Yeah.
Suicide were great. They were our label mates on Bump for a while. And
I've told. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just love their music, and there's so many stories about when they toured with the Clash in England, and people threw stuff at them.
Yeah, I've told this story on the show a couple times. We used to come down. From the Bronx on the 1 train on the weekends and sneak into clubs, right? And get into the clubs that we could get into, right? When I was 14, 15 years old, places like Tracks, right, on 72nd Street. Here, I live in the neighborhood now.
Okay,
another place that for some reason we used to be able to get into was Hurrah's.
Yeah.
And one time we went to Hurrah's, and there was this band playing. It was 2 guys on stage. One guy was at the keyboard. The other guy was just sort of twisting and fruging. And we just thought it was the most bizarre, funniest thing we ever saw. It was just so out there. I mean, we couldn't wrap our heads around it. And it turns out later on, I realized, shit, I fucking saw Suicide. And I was like, 15 years old,
So the last few times that Marty's played Bowery Electric, I've played bass with him, Rev. And it's just wonderful. But yeah, they were way ahead of their time. And look at all these electronic synthesizer, industrial music bands that are around now, the younger bands that are like Suicide.
Absolutely. And speaking of growing up in New York, one thing that I had was Manhattan cable TV.
Oh.
And as a young teenager, and it was an alternative to Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, and I saw this on on Manhattan cable TV. I think when it aired in 1978,
Yeah.
and I remember, and I remember looking at this and going, what's going on here? You know, and it was so bizarre. People were calling in and like, you know, like arguing and the whole bit. Like this was
It was
wild.
crazy. Well, the weird thing about this still from this film is if you look at the order we're sitting in, that's the order of death.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all looking kind of down and I'm looking up. So yeah. But yeah, it was this guy, the story behind this is a friend of Stiv's, Michael McKenzie, who I think was a writer. He asked us if we wanted to do this show. Sid and I said absolutely no way.
Right.
And Nancy and Stiv overruled us. Yeah. Because Stiv was great at PR, you know.
Right.
He taught me everything I know.
The thing about something like this, back then it was so rare to actually document something like this, like like quality wise, because this is a good quality version of this.
Yeah, it's nice having you here.
This is a pretty good quality version. I mean, which I think the original guy has posted, but you know, it's interesting that you know what has survived through the swirling sands of time, and I'm sure this is something that, you know, you could get on YouTube, and this is something that people find time and time again. And this really, you really get Nancy's personality. You really get Sid, you really get, you know, Stiv's this is really a time capsule.
Yeah, and the comedy. I have the VHS, I guess it is, of it in my closet, but it's got all these like lines through it.
Yeah, right.
You know,
right.
But yeah, I mean, I call this the punk Spinal Tap. It was ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Yeah, I had it on VHS for years. It was Sid Vicious being Sid Vicious, you know.
This was 2 weeks before Nancy's death.
Oh my, really? Yeah. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. Were you? I mean, I guess you and Stiv were close with Nancy.
Close with, I'd say we were close with Sid. We were like his parents.
Right.
We babysat him every day.
Right.
But yeah, we got close with them. I mean, I think she was super intelligent. And if she was a guy, no one would say anything about her manner and all of that stuff. I've said this before. But she was very aggressive and possessive and didn't take to other women even being friends with Sid.
Makes sense. A couple of things, a couple of great things that I noticed that I love. I love this gig with the B-Girls and the Rockettes at the Magique, which we knew as the Magique Disco.
Right.
Knowing the neighborhood, and this is the Magique Disco at 61st Verse, where for years they had the Chippendales Review.
Yes.
Right. I remember this because my dad lived up that way. But this is the Rockettes. I did not realize that Jerry Nolan played in the Rockettes.
Yeah, he did for a little while. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. So yeah, we did a bunch of gigs together. Rockettes and the B-Girls were another thing, and like, you know, the Stray Cats really got success on the Rockettes shtick, you know, thing. But yeah, this was a weird uptown gig. I think it was a model party for some big modeling agency. And, you know, the B-Girls and the Rockettes. And then Johnny got up during our set and took Xenia's guitar and wouldn't get off. And they ended up having to shut the power off in the club to get him to stop. So, yeah. It was a whole thing.
What year? This is probably what, 1980, 81?
Yeah, around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was he doing up there? Was the drummer playing with him, or was he just
you know,
by
him
himself?
and Jerry, I mean, him and Jerry had on again, off again.
Jerry. Oh, right. Jerry was, sure.
Yeah. And also he was like my best friend. He was sleeping, when we were sleeping on floors, he occasionally came and slept on those floors with us. So, yeah.
Yeah. Makes makes sense.
He was always around.
Did you feel that now we're talking about Danny Garcia's films, which you're in a couple of them. Did you feel like that this film really was righteous in its storytelling?
Yeah, I was happy that there was finally a film about Stiv, and I've been waiting a long time. You know, everything's about Johnny and Sid, and you know, I felt that Stiv was just as much of a talent and a front person and deserved to have his story told. So yeah, Danny did that, and yeah, I thought it was good. Danny's gotten better with each film. So he's learned how to edit. You know, him and I are really good friends. He does it on no budget. He's basically a fan.
Yeah.
You know, he comes up against a lot of barriers around getting right. You know, he can't afford to pay for rights for songs.
Yep. You, me, and Danny right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep. This was at the premiere of Night Clubbing, which was pretty much the Max's film.
Right. Now I remember this. So we were at that Joe's Pub, right?
Joe's Pub. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, Arthur, and anybody else out there, I highly recommend the film Night Clubbing. I think it's on Amazon. You could dial it in on Amazon or whatever. It's very informative, and like Cynthia said, Danny's films get better as he goes. Here's the poster. You know what I really enjoyed that he did? The Brian Jones film.
Yeah, I like that too. I went to England for the premiere of that. And there was Donovan in the audience, and the guys from the Pretty Things were in the audience of the premiere. Because Donovan is with Brian's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was it. Yeah. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I really like Night Clubbing. Night Clubbing is funny. It's fast-paced.
Yeah.
The music is really good.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I lost her. Oh, there you are.
Yeah. I had some scam trying to call in.
Yeah. Be careful.
I know.
You know, I got to tell my dad, you know, at 90 years old, it's like, Dad, don't. He keeps telling me they called me. There's a problem with this. I'm like, Dad, no.
I know the email. Don't click on any links, but they're from my friends. No, please.
I know. I go through it all the time.
Yeah.
I go, Dad, there's a whole bunch of charges on the card. It's like, did you give the card number to some Apple thing? He's like, well, I needed this. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. It's the most anxiety-inducing thing ever. Oh, I'm locked out of all the programs on my computer again.
Yeah, right. Something's wrong with my phone. I can't. I erased all the contacts.
Or the TV, the channel changer doesn't work.
No, Dad, you just pressed one button.
Right.
That's it. You pressed one button somewhere.
Okay, inventors out there, this is a whole new market.
Right.
Figure this out.
Gary Alford says, talking about films, I read that The Fabulous Stains was actually based on the B-Girls. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, it's true. And it's the one that Paul Simonon's in, I believe.
Yes.
And he had me audition for it, the producer, and all of a sudden now I can't remember his name.
Let me look it up as you talk.
They flew the person here from New York who was doing the casting agent. And I'd never read for a film before.
Oh, you're talking about Lou Adler.
Lou Adler, yes.
Who managed the Mamas and the Papas, and who ran the Roxy, and all that. Yeah, sure.
So Paul said, the story's loosely based on the B-Girls. It's about two sisters who start a band. They're in middle America, and all this stuff happens. And he said, I told Lou, because he saw the B-Girls play with the Clash, and I said, you really should let Cynthia audition for one of the leads. So I did, and I was so nervous, trying to read and look at the camera. I wish someone had given me some tips, but I didn't get it because they decided that they wanted a seasoned, like someone who was actually an actress. And I can't remember which one got my part. It was
Is it Laura Dern or Diane Lane?
Yeah, one of those two. So I think the Laura Dern part was the part that I was reading for.
I also see Paul Simonon, Steve Jones, Paul Cook, Fee Waybill, and Vince Welnick, who ended up playing. Well, he played keyboards. He was in the Tubes, but then he was in with Todd Rundgren, and then he was in the Grateful Dead.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
so
Laura,
Paul was a great guy. I mean, yeah. I haven't seen Mick in years. I haven't talked to him in years, and he was the one that we were the closest with.
Huh. Yeah, they came around and did Big Yo Dynamite again a couple years ago.
Okay.
And I went. I mean, I'm going back a couple years. This is at Roseland. Roseland's been gone a while, and boy, were they fantastic. Here's another shot. I'm assuming this was when he was producing you guys.
Yeah, this was at Park South Studios. I think it's on 59th Street. And he produced a couple songs for us there. Tommy Mandel, who played keyboards at one point with the Stones, he played keyboards on the track. And we did the song called Two Hearts Full of Love. And another one, boys are dancing. It's something about dancing at the high school dance. And it was like an Eddie Cochran type feel. So he loved that. Yeah.
Did he play on any of the stuff?
He played kalimba.
Kalimba? I don't even know what a kalimba is.
It's this thing you play with your thumbs. It's an African instrument, and we hated it because it was so not the B-girls at all. You know, with the like the stuff. But we called him Trenchy Jones because he smoked so much pot.
He's big in my world. He the Clash and the stuff, his the stuff he produced and the stuff he had his hand in with the Clash is really great stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was wonderful.
Yeah. I know that I know we're talking about a little bit just as I'm sort of going through the gamut here, but is it true that you are in Danny's new film? Is it the Chelsea documentary he's doing?
Yes. So I see that he just put out something that he's screening it like very soon at some festival. So I was shocked that he's finished it.
He bangs them out, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's a doer, which is great. Like he's encouraged me with the writing the poetry and the singing now. He just says, just do it. You need to do it. We're not around forever. Just get it done.
Yeah.
So this was filmed at the Chelsea, and this is Manley's. We went to her apartment, and then we walked through it, and it was like, such a weird experience for me because it was going back to see where Stiv and I lived and where Sid would come down, and it's not a room anymore. It's like one of their private dining room bar things. It's on the main floor right beside the desk. And
you guys lived on the first floor?
Yes, not the first floor, the main floor.
Oh.
Next to Stanley's desk. And first she was saying there was never any rooms there. And then she said, oh my God, I know exactly which room it is. She said the guy who was the illustrator for Andy Warhol's, what's that magazine that he had? Interview, Richard Bernstein. He lived in there and he died there. And yes. And so then we walked by this door and I said, this is where I think it is. And she said, oh my God, yes, this was Richard's room. And I said, when you open the door, the bathroom is just on the left and it has this glass door and it's wood paneling and a crystal handle. And she said, oh my God, yes. And we walked in and I looked at the ceiling. It has these gargoyles that I remember lying in bed and looking up at. And I could see where the couch was that Sid was the permanent occupant of, and I felt like I was feeling and hearing things. So it was perfect for Danny's film.
Wow, that's fantastic. What was the Chelsea like? Was it a scary place back then? But I mean, I'm assuming back then there was certain sort of residents that were a little creepy.
Yeah, but we never thought of things that way.
Yeah, of course.
Strange. Things changed like drastically after the whole Nancy thing and the Johnny Blitz stabbing, you know, like things. Then into the 80s when crack cocaine came to New York City. I think things really changed then. But I mean, the people at the Chelsea, a lot of them were interesting and long-term residents. And we stayed, I mean, we lived at the Gramercy Park before that. And I think Blondie lived there too. And I remember the Dam staying there. So, yeah.
That's a nice hotel, actually.
Yeah, it wasn't that nice then, but you know.
Yeah, they have since renovated. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
But you know, that's pretty much how it goes. Let me take a quick sponsor break, and we'll come back and we'll take some questions from around the world. Okay?
Great.
See you in a minute. Well, there you have it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is Cynthia Ross from the B-Girls. Please, I know you have questions. Don't be shy. Let them fly. Post them up. Let's go deep. Let's go big. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, the Organic Grill, the Texas Silver Rush, DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing Record, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Upstate Records. They're a New York-based DIY independent metal and hardcore label. Founded in 2017, they broke into the scene with their inaugural 26-band compilation in 2018, and since then have churned out over 80 releases in their brief 5-year history. In 2023, look for new releases by Mark Rizzo's new band, Revenge Beast, Carl from Earth Crisis' Freya, Fury of 5, Angry Corpses, and a few more surprises that are in the works. Check them out at www.upstaterecordsnewyork.com and use the code STONE10 for 10% off. Come on now, 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Hey, post some questions while you're at it, will you? I want to mention upcoming shows. Let me clear the deck a little bit. Coming up this Sunday, Theo from the Lunatics will be on the show. Yes, this will be a great one. A week from Sunday, yes, Wino from the Obsessed in St. Vitus will be on the show. Steve Birnbaum, the photographer who does The Band Was Here, which is really a great Instagram site. I highly recommend it. Go check it out. He's on May 17th. May 28th, yes, Mark Rizzo from Il Nino, Soulfly, and Revenge Beast. June 4th, Tim Shaw from Ensign and Fuck It, I Quit. Chris Jericho, June 11th. Forbidden with Chris Contos, Craig Losiciero, and Norman Skinner. And then Jetan Damone. My girlfriend is very excited about this show, co-hosted by Joel Ghostin. What else? I said it before, I'll say it again. Please jump on board, support the show on Patreon. There's also a PayPal page there. Make a contribution. There's a super chat function as well. If you do a super chat thing, it comes through, ask a question, it comes through in color. I can't miss it. Sometimes I miss things. There's a lot of moving pieces here. Also, if you're watching the show in rerun, there's a subscribe button there. Please subscribe to the Stone Films NYC YouTube channel. You will get an alert when we announce a new show. Also, if you have a communication device, please pick it up and follow the show on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. That said, let's clear the deck. Any questions, please post. Let's bring our guest back. Hold on, let me get rid of this. Let's bring Cynthia Ross back on. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. I enjoy doing the show.
I can tell. It's great.
I do.
The sponsors made me homesick.
Excuse me?
The sponsors made me homesick.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Organic Grill, Generation Records.
Yeah.
It's all, yeah. It's very, very fortunate. We have, okay, here we go. Paulie asks, hey, Cynthia, what's the craziest show you've attended?
That's a hard one.
Were there any? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Crazy in what way, though?
I mean, I'll narrow it down. Were there ever any like scary early on? Any like sort of scary, like violent-ish punk shows where like, you know, because early on in the punk thing, you know, if you were doing the punk thing, you were basically looking for trouble. You know.
Well, there were factions within the punk thing. So in Toronto, there was a show at the Colonial where there was the Vile Tones, who were from Toronto, and Teenage Head, who were from Hamilton, both professing to be the toughest punk bands, you know, and they ended up going at it with bottles, and, you know, that was pretty scary. The police came. Yeah, that wasn't fun. But craziest, I don't know. I think some of the craziest shows I saw were like early Rolling Stones shows when Mick Taylor, you know, was still in the band, I guess. I was a kid, so.
Yeah, there was an incredible mania attached to the Stones in those years. I mean, they were the world's greatest rock and roll band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm trying to think of other ones that were. I think some Iggy shows, I would have to say. Iggy.
Ray Hogan asks, what band best carries the torch the B-Girls started?
Oh, there's a couple, but I would say first and foremost, Baby Shakes from New York. They really have the whole thing. Write great songs. They look good, you know. They can play their instruments. And then I think there's quite a few bands in Japan. Quite a few. So I would say there's a girl band called the Melvins. There's a girl band called the Let's Goes. Let's Goes, yeah. And they're great. They're all really good. So I would say them.
Is this in Japan?
No, that was the Coney Island. So that was the Burger Beach Bash. Rest in peace. At Coney Island. This was our first gig of the Born Again B-Girls, as I was calling them. So that's Elisa Maldonado on guitar from the Trash Bags, and Lila Vander, who plays in a bunch of bands, on drums, and Lucasta in the middle, and me with the bass. And yeah, that was our very first gig. It was like with Surfboard. I think that the Zeros were on this, and they were also our label mates.
On Bomb.
On Bomb, yeah.
You know, which makes sense. The record that you're holding here, or that Stiv is holding here, I revisited this record this morning in a big way. I did a deep dive on this record this morning. Very, very interesting record. Really great. A little bit different than Dead Boys, and I was really it was interesting to find out that and I didn't know this, but in doing my homework, that as the Dead Boys thing kind of wound down, it seemed like this guy fell off, that guy fell off, and by the time the Dead Boys really kind of ended on that original run, it was really Stiv and a bunch of guys that were not in the original band as the Dead Boys, and that's the band that he recorded this record with.
Right. So the guy that Frank Sessage was in a band called Blue Ash. He was from somewhere near Cleveland and had been friends with Stiv for forever. And they were a very pop band, like Eric Carmen and the Raspberries. Those were the bands that Stiv loved. And this was the music that Stiv loved. And that's why when I talked about all of the stuff that I listened to, was nothing like, I mean, his music in the Dead Boys was nothing like this, but, you know, it was a collaboration with Johnny and Cheetah and Jeff, you know. And then I love this Disconnected record. B-Girls sang backups on this, and we also sang backups on the Blondies Auto-American record.
Yeah, did you guys sing on The Tide Is High?
No, we sang on something about undercover in the gutter. Live It Up. It's called Live It Up. And we
That's
did
awesome.
the Shangri-La's background oohs, and it was the same trip. We did the Stiv's background vocals and those background vocals for Blondie on the same trip to LA.
Yeah. Yes, Arthur. Arthur says got disconnected on CD. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Yeah, it's great. It's one that sort of wasn't really on my radar screen.
So the drummer on that album, his name is David Steinberg, but his name was something else, like probably on the record. He's from Toronto. He was in a band called The Mods, and he's an entertainment lawyer now for all these huge bands and a lot of licensing for film and stuff like that. So, but he's gone to Japan also and done some solo stuff since. Yeah,
that's the way it goes with. Okay, and here's, I'm just looking through some stuff. You know what? Explain. I know this is a little bit of a sidebar, but Mystery Girls.
Yeah, so the Mystery Girls were from Queens. Debbie Valenti on guitar and vocals. She was great. Anyway, I think it was after the B-Girls broke up. I played in quite a few bands. I played with Walter Lure in The Heroes with my husband Billy Rogers and Walter's brother Richie. They went on to become the Waldos after Billy and I left. The Mystery Girls was John Casino. He paid for this. He had a record label. I think he managed them, but we did These Boots Are Made for Walking. I played on that single, and she had this song called Ego, which I got into Danny's nightclubbing movie, because it's all about, she says this thing, you say you're playing Max's and that we got to go, and when we get there, it's only you and your ego, and it's like, yeah.
That's cool.
And she was like a Johnny Thunders guitar player. Great.
Sure.
Still good friends with her.
Sure. And another project that I think we would be amiss just not to touch on would be New York Junk.
Yes. So when I started playing again after having children and being in Canada, for quite a while, and when my kids grew up enough that I went back to New York, and the last band I played in New York before I moved to Toronto with Billy was this band called the Renegades. And my battery's dying. And that okay, it's okay. And that Joe from the Renegades was me, Billy, Joe, and this guy named Jimmy Stout on guitar. And New York Junk formed in Joe's basement with me and him starting it in 2007. And then his friend Gary, who he'd been playing with a bit, but none of us had been playing. And we started playing, and it was like as if no time had passed. And
that's awesome.
And then we got this other guy, Jeff Ward, who's English but lived in Brooklyn. And I got him to start playing guitar. He hadn't played for years. And then Jeff and I started an offshoot band, the Electrojets, which is one of my favorite bands. But yeah, New York Junk has 4 albums, and they're all great.
Stefan says, New York Junk reunion, please. We're waiting patiently. So
we will do it at some point. Yeah. I really want to play in Europe and London with New York Junk. Like, we've gone to Prague a lot, and the reception is great there. And
I bet.
I don't know about the New York scene anymore. Like, maybe it's just my vantage point. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what it is. You know what it is. What you always have a place and sort of a home at Jesse Mallon's place, the Bowery Electric.
Yes.
And that's our home.
Yes.
Jesse's an old hardcore kid from Queens.
Yes.
And he basically lets me do what, we do a Sunday matinee there once a month, a free all ages Sunday matinee. And we call that our home. And Jesse has done a lot to, keep,
keeping it alive. Yeah. Jesse's keeping the whole scene alive, and he's an awesome person. And
he really is.
Music is fantastic, and I'm so proud of him for what he's doing.
Yeah. We call him he's our patron saint. He really is. He lets me do my thing there, and I fight to have free all ages shows so kids can come.
That's great.
And we've been it's been great. Laurie asks, how is it returning to music after the kids, and do they think you are as cool as you are?
No, so they're not really into that kind of music at all. And no, they don't. I don't think they think I'm cool. But you know what? It was good returning to music. It's like finding your true self again and your soul. And I felt like I was working a straight job for all those years, and I felt like I was in drag. And now I feel like I'm me again.
Yeah, that's great. I want to ask you, and somebody sort of mentioned this, and I had it in my notes. And I'm not trying to dig into anything here, but answer it as delicately as possible. But I saw the Dead Boys play a couple years ago with a couple new guys in the band, and I know Lords of the New Church. Somebody and what kind of set it off was somebody asked, "What do you think of the Lords reunion?" What are your thoughts about both of these bands kind of out there without such a charismatic figure as Stiv Bators?
Well, I mean, for me, it's personal. So like I played with that New York Junk, played with that band, the Dead Boys, with Cheetah, who's, obviously like legitimately the Dead Boy.
Sure.
And the other guys. And I had to leave just because for me, it's like seeing someone trying to be Stiv was not, it felt very strange. Now, other people don't feel that way. They enjoyed it. They loved it,
Sure.
I think the Lords of the New Church is a different thing. It's the original guys. Yeah. And I think that Brian didn't want to do it for a very long time, or, whatever the barriers were, and the same with the Damned. And having gone and seen Brian and talked to him in London, like just before COVID, I'm really glad that they're doing that.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's different. I don't know why. I feel like that's different than the Dead Boys. Yeah.
Is who sings for Lords of the New Church now?
It's Michael Monroe.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they were
okay
for a little
all
while.
Right.
There's a connection of sorts. Yeah. I mean, and I think that they're respecting Stiv,
Yeah. I could see. I'd like to see that. Funny you brought up the Damned. We were just listening to the brand new Damned record in the car the other day. There's a new Damned, and we were listening to it, and it's like, yeah, it's the Damned. They're still at it. It's the Damned.
Right. So I'm really interested in doing new things. I don't want to revive the dead past, and
sure.
I'm excited about that because it's only really in the last year that I've shifted my thinking into, I lived through a great time. That was the past, but I've let it go.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. Especially in this sort of racket that I'm in. There's a lot of talk about back in the day this and past that, and I was there and you weren't, and that stuff is really tiresome. It's nowheresville. I'm about living in the present and looking down the road.
Looking forward, because you're not creating if you're living in those stories from the past.
Absolutely. Well, that said, hey, I told you 2 hours goes fast.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was worried about what would I say. So
believe me, we could go on for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out on the way out?
I hadn't really thought about that, but I mean, I really miss New York and all of my friends there. And I just want to thank everyone who's doing something creative and keeping creation and music alive. And I also just want to say something about being a woman and in this role, that it's not the same as it is for guys, because women can do it all, but you have to do it not all at once. And sometimes we have to choose between different things, but you're still that little girl that you were who had those dreams, and go for them. That's what I want to end with.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And let's talk soon. And when you come when you come to New York, I'll invite you down to the Bowery Electric to one of our shows.
Oh, great. I'd love that. Thanks, Drew.
My pleasure. Take care up in Toronto.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today was Cynthia Ross from the B-Girls. Really enjoyed it. Hope you did. Hope you did as well. Love shows like that. Yeah, that's right. Straight up legend. Absolutely. I knew today was going to be a great show. Just really comfortable and just talking. And yeah, thanks, Larry. You know, I've said this many times. I really enjoy having people on the show that I don't really know that well. I mean, we've had a million people on the show that I've, worked with, done films with, done music videos with, or played with, or on the road with. I really enjoy when somebody comes on the show that I have to do some homework for, and I get a chance to get to know, and that's absolutely one of the joys of doing the show. And yes, thanks, Mio. I appreciate it, buddy. Which Vinny was on the show? Vinny Stigma was on 3 years ago today. Thank you. Yep. So that said, it was great. What else? These are your favorite interviews. Well, thank you. They're my favorite interviews too. Yeah. Hey, Whitney, how are you? How's everything? Nice to see you. How's the job? How's the life? Yeah. Listen, I do a lot of homework. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. I do a lot of homework for the show. Very rarely does someone come on. It's just like, oh, okay. I'm just, I don't really wing anything here. Pre-production's a big part of this show's success. So, hey, Joe, thank you, buddy. Is that Stigma episode 13 was 3 years ago. Oh God. Publish a book with interview snippets and those great pics you dig up. There's another book that's in the works, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Volume 2, 1990 to 1999 is in the works. So that's the next one I'm working on. And then there's the Greg Smith London 1977 photo book. Hey, John, is that right? Great show today, Drew. I missed my time working up in Toronto. Okay. Toronto, I haven't been up to Toronto in a while. I think I covered it. How you doing, Lori? Did you enjoy it?
Oh my gosh, I am in love. She's awesome.
Yeah, she was great.
She's incredible. Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a fun show.
Yeah. Me too. Once I started digging into all those photos and everything from the past, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so good.
Let me show you something. As many photos as I went through on the show, take a look at how many other photos that I didn't.
Wow.
There's a whole bunch of other photos that, a lot of Stiv stuff, B-girls. I mean, a lot of stuff that I didn't get it. I mean, I put up some of this stuff. Alago sent me this one.
Yeah. Wow. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just incredible. There's a photographer that took a lot of them. If people follow Punk Turns 30 on IG, that's the photographer that
What is it? Punk Turns 30?
Punk Turns 30. It's Teresa Correct. I can't even say her name. I'm gonna mangle it, but it's Punk Turns 30, and she took a lot of those old photos around that era of those people. And
hey, I want to shout out Alex. I want to shout out Alex Mitchell from Circus of Power. I'm glad you're back on the internet, Al, and I'm honored that you're back watching the show again. I appreciate it. Sean Refuse from Chum Hopper. You guys were great. Did you hear the comment about your wife in the shark suit? Stephen Messina was like, Stephen Messina was like, they even had some girl in a shark suit. Yeah.
I mean, it's enough for your partner just to show up and support at your shows, but to get in there in a shark suit, come on.
Yo, I'm gonna get my girl. I'm gonna get my girl in some kind of a suit for my band.
That's right.
The banana, put her in the banana suit.
The bar has been set. Why?
That he says he missed it. You know, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, that's next level shit in your band when you have people like wearing costumes as stage props. You know, I gotta get past this thing where I just get up there and scream my brains out. You know,
and actually just like look around and see, you know, who's being crazy.
Yeah, it's good.
For sure.
All right. Hey, you know who's up next on the show? Theo.
Yes, another good one.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
A lot of people are excited about that one.
Yeah, yeah. This will be cool. This will be cool.
Can't wait.
That is on Sunday.
Sunday.
So, all right. Well, I'll see you on Sunday.
All right. Yes, you will.
All right. Talk to you later.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks a lot, everybody. This was the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We'll see you on Sunday. Until then, do good things and good things will come too.